Can you think back to a time where you were part of a great team? And by great team, I'm not meaning it was lovey-dovey and it just felt nice. I'm not just talking about the cohesive aspect of the team, but I'm also talking about it being a team that was a winning team. A team where you felt, this is it. Do you know that you can actually recreate those very same ingredients in the team that you're working in right now? You can actually do that. It's interesting when I speak to people and I ask them this very question, what were some of those ingredients? I hear people saying things like, they had my back. I knew I could count on them. They didn't speak behind my back. One of the things they consistently will say is people were responsible. They took ownership for their part. So it was a team that was very motivated. Something else that is also very consistent, they'll say, we had fun. It was fun. And then I say to them, what does fun look like? And they say, we laughed. And this is important because it must always be behavioral. When you're recreating environments of a team that you want to recreate, you must always focus on behaviors, not just on principles and general atmosphere, but specific behaviors. People in great teams do stuff. They do certain things. Let's talk about what they actually do. And this is what people will begin to unpack. You see, like I always say, leaders are social architects. You can design that winning team that you want to be a part of. The first thing in doing this, in this design, is making sure you've got the right people. Make sure you've got the right people on the bus. Sometimes a lot of teams go through so much turmoil, and I hear some of my clients saying, Paul, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that we managed to get rid of a couple of bad apples. And you see that those bad apples in that team were literally messing up the whole atmosphere. I was speaking to one of my clients recently. He says, Paul, this particular person just literally is messing up things for the entire team. What should I do? Well, you know what I've noticed in some of the great football teams? When someone tries to be a star beyond the team and think the team is more about them, they get rid of them. They actually get rid of them for the sake of the organization and for the sake of the rest of the team. Now, I know that can seem unpopular, and I know it's important to give people chances, but it's crucial when you're a strong leader to make sure you've got the right team. I've seen a lot of leaders limp along, ending up working so many hours of overtime simply because of one person who's literally derailing the team and controlling it. Do you have any people like that? Are you avoiding having the difficult conversation with them? It's not about just saying there are no chances for you, just get out, but it's more about saying if you don't change, if you don't align with our team values, then you can't be here any longer. It's so crucial to make sure you've got the right team. And then secondly, you've got the right ingredients within the team. How do you do that? Well, you sit down and you talk about your team values. You literally sit down. The way I like doing it is what we call a conversation cafe. Conversation cafe, you sit down with a team and you have about 5 or 6 flip charts out, and you divide the team up. Maybe you have about 3 people at each flip chart, and you say to them, what are our core values? And typically what happen is people will say our values here are mutual respect. They're professionalism and integrity. They are customer service orientation. They are results driven or results orientation. They'll typically mention things like that. And then I would say to them, okay, if that's the case, and they'll probably add in things like accountability, right? These are team values. Commitment to team is another popular one. And then I say, okay, let's write each one of these down in each flip chart. Then I'll say to them, go to each flip chart in your different groups and write down the behaviors that someone who exhibits this particular value, what behaviors do they show? And they might say, okay, mutual respect. This is someone who returns your emails. This is someone who greets you. This is someone who pitches up to meetings on time. And they write down the behaviors. And by behaviors, I mean what the camera can actually see. Okay? So not something vague. And they write these down. And at a certain point, I clap my hands and I say, okay, let's rotate anti-clockwise. And then they rotate. And then each person has an opportunity to contribute their thoughts and their ideas concerning the behaviors associated with each particular value. Then we put these together in a booklet, and then we say, right, everyone sign on this. These are the values, these are the behaviors and attributes that you're committing to as a team. This makes it so much easier when you're reprimanding people, when you're giving them feedback, because you're now sitting down and you're saying, okay, this is what's happening. What you're doing is not aligned to this particular value. what we typically do in those conversation cafes, we get them to write down an example of skilled behavior of that particular value and also of unskilled behavior of that particular value. Okay, so with the unskilled list, we might mention, for example, under results orientation, we might say things like procrastination, delivering things continuously after the deadline, or at last minute. Those are examples of unskilled behavior with that particular value. Try it with your team and you'll see it's such a powerful thing in creating a powerful team. Thank you.